Hello, and thank you all for joining our webinar today. The topic is Powerful Natural Language Digital Assistants for Colleges and Universities. We have two presenters today, Joe Huang, Product Manager for Oracle Digital Assistant, and he'll be joined by Mike McMillan, Product Specialist. Together, they bring a wealth of knowledge and experience in using Oracle Digital Assistant in higher ed and to other customer environments as well. I just want to point out that we have two ways of asking questions. You can ask them through the chat or Q&A windows at any time, and we'll be tracking them. You can also wait until the presenters ask for questions, and at that point you can unmute your lines. With that, I'll turn it over to Joe to start it off.
Great. Thank you so much, Susan, and welcome to our webcast. And we're honored to have you joining us, talking about some of the use cases for natural language processing and digital assistant and chatbot for colleges and universities. Oh, can you hear me? Yes.
I'm not receiving your audio well. It's very broken up.
Let me. Whoops. Mike, can you hear me okay?
Yes, your audio is just fine.
Okay, I think Susan,
okay.
I heard your audio is a bit unsteady, so it may be some connectivity issue on your end. Okay, so we're delighted to have you participating in the webcast today. We have a few agenda items we'd like to go through with you. Basically, an overview of why conversational experiences matters. What are some of the digital system use cases for higher education, especially in the current challenging times that we're experiencing. We're going to go through a few demos of both digital system for universities in production, but also some demo use cases for your information. And then we're going to go through the digital assistant key features and component, as well as current customers in higher education. And then we'll end with more information and follow-up. Oh, and by the way, if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A window to post a question, and whoever, between Mike and myself, we're not talking, then we'll be able to help answer the Q&A. All right, so I think at this point in time in the last 2 years, we're at a cusp of another technical revolution, where in the 90s, the World Wide Web is all the rage. In the early 2000s, the invention of the mobile apps and the popularity of mobile apps that revolutionized the way that how end user engage with systems and information. And now with the maturity of the conversational platform and technologies, we're yet in another technical breakthrough, and this time involves conversational user interfaces. And really the best interface, we believe, is no interface, because as we converse, this is really the most natural way of communicating. There's nothing to learn. We all know how to use our natural language capabilities and to communicate with each other. And according to a report by Gartner, which is a leading analyst, roughly by 2022, 70% of the white-collar workers are going to interact with conversational platform on a daily basis. This may actually accelerate given the current needs for quick information dissemination, but certainly we see that as a pretty solid trend. And really the reason is because, well, number one, it's the most natural way of interacting with a information system through a conversational user interface. There's no app to download. You already have a lot of the chat client on your device. And we all have a lot of the mobile apps on our devices, maybe hundreds. Chances are we only use a handful of those, and I bet one or two of those is a conversational messaging client. And the chatbot or digital assistant can just simply go through these interfaces. It's always available. It's available through a variety of messaging applications, is what we mean by channel. It also could be embedded in a mobile application, can be embedded in a web or progressive web for mobile devices. And also it's one of the features for Oracle Digital Assistant is that it provides a single interface to all the different conversational experiences and chatbot you'll need. And as a matter of fact, we're going to demonstrate that shortly in one of the university demos. Okay, so what exactly is a digital assistant? And digital assistant is what we use called chatbot. And basically, I think a lot of you have perhaps interacted with a chatbot. And this is an example of current Oracle customer, educational testing services. And they have built a digital assistant to help prospective university students or university students planning to take GRE test or a TOEFL test to get into universities. And a digital assistant was developed by Educational Testing Service to really help the student answer some of the key questions. For example, do they need to wear a mask or to go to take a test and things like that. Really, the current pandemic is obviously impacting a lot of students in many, many ways, and one of the ways is testing. And the Educational Testing Services has used the Oracle Digital Assistant platform to develop this to really help to get these critical information very quickly out to the students. So basically, this is what a digital assistant and is and what functionality it provides. And what are some of the key use cases for Oracle Digital Assistant for higher education? So obviously, it could help to reduce the staff cost and recruitment cost by making these information available through a automated conversational user interface. It can help to improve student services so students can find their grade and find classes through a conversational user interface rather than having to search through a portal or even call administrative staff. And also can help to drive innovations in higher education by providing a very useful tool for higher education. Sorry. All right. So some of the key use cases: admissions, student interactions, FAQ, faculty, and support. There are quite a few, but it's not limited to those. And actually, we're going to go through a few demos of what those use cases include. Right. And let's see. And obviously, one of the things that's all of our on top of our mind nowadays is that I think most of us are working from home for a month now due to COVID-19 and due to the various shutdown. And has caused quite a bit of a crisis, and it's going to continue, right? And realistically, it's not really to completely go away until there is a vaccine. And until that happens, our life is going to be altered in some ways. And so there's really an increasing need to offer a continued stream of very reliable, accurate, and timely information to the student population and also to the faculty members. And I'm sure that all of you, all the students were sent home and they can't live in dorm anymore. What about, they all need timely information to be able to access the information as well as to be able to take online courses. And all of these increase the need for disseminating information in a timely manner to the students and also to the faculty members. So where digital assistant can add value for students is, for example, can provide a latest status for reopening, for phases and timing for reopening campuses. It may still be weeks away. I think each university has, and each state has a different schedule, so it can get very confusing. And of course, can also provide online student services, online classes, help to find classes, help to find grades and fees through a conversational user interface. It can help with admissions. Incoming students obviously are impacted, and all of the graduating high school students are getting impacted, and there's a greater need to be able to help onboard these students in a timely, efficient manner. And we actually have a customer, university, sorry, that have created such an onboarding digital assistant that I'm going to demonstrate shortly. And also just some information, general information around crisis, information, FAQ, protection advisory. What if the student does have to come on campuses? What services are still available? That would be something that digital assistant can help with disseminate. And also for faculty and employees, you know, a lot of employees and also faculty now needs to work remotely. So right away, now you have greater need for IT help desk and IT service for remote work setup, and also HR related information. When would the faculty and employee needs to return to work, how they need to return to work, and what are the precautions, or the remote and you know, the ability to remotely access HR information, HR policies, and the crisis information, right? Before, working in offices is much easier to get these type of information off the desktop. Now they're working remotely. The digital assistant can really help with, through a conversational user interface, to disseminate these type of information. So, so there's a lot of benefit, obviously, with a digital assistant, and it really helps you to streamline a lot of the communications. And for example, be able to easily access information on through a messaging application. And again, all the university students, high school students are all used to use messaging applications, and this is a very natural medium for them. And this also helps to free up a lot of the resources that are important to really fight and deal with all of the complexities of having to work and learn remotely. So at this point, rather than talking more about digital assistant, let's go through and demonstrate a few real-life digital assistant. So at this point, I'd like to turn this over to Mike, who's going to walk us through a couple of demos of one is real life and one is and basically a couple of demos for digital assistant. So I'm going to stop sharing.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Yes, so I'm going to show a couple examples here. The first one is going to be from the state of New York school system. This is a large school system that's composed of 64 different institutions. And what they wanted to do was they wanted to provide a way for their students to get information on what's going on while the campus is closed. They wanted them to be able to ask some questions, get a couple of answers, and not have to call in and inundate any staff who might be answering the phones. So here's a page that provides some information about health and COVID. And the digital assistant sits right down here. And you can see that any of the students can engage and they can ask questions such as, you know, how can I visit campus? And it'll let them know then, you know, of course, you know, you cannot at the time. Okay, well, when are the campuses going to open? And so it helps provide some really basic and quick answers just for students for being able to find out things in regards to accessing the campus, you know, and for example, other things like, you know, what if I can't take the SAT? And so it's built to field these questions for the users so that they're able to very easily get the answers for things that are the most frequently asked questions. And this is one of the most you know, popular examples in higher education, which is reducing a lot of pressure from humans and responding to common asked questions and frequently asked questions by providing a digital assistant that can answer those. And as they can use a natural conversation, as Joe had said, they'll find a nice natural way and an easy way to converse with the bot. And that gives them access to these questions and answers 24/7. And it's very easy for SUNY to maintain these and modify them on the fly to respond additionally to users and citizens if they add more and more to it. Now, this is one example of how SUNY is using it to help provide some information during this pandemic. Now, we have another example, which is just a proof of concept example for providing housing information to first-year students or students moving into university housing. Now, this is not for SUNY. This is for just a proof of concept based on the common needs of our customers. And here's an example. I'm in the digital assistant backend here using a tool for testing. And this is going to show you an example of this conversation. Now, this digital assistant is a little bit different than the previous one in that it has a little bit more of a visual, clickable aspect to it. There's several types. You can have one that's conversation driven, and you can also have one that's button click, like a mobile app. And it can offer a mixture of both text and visual interaction with the user interface. So in this case here, I'm a student wanting to get information on a building on campus. So you can see here, I can provide them a list of the buildings. They can see a name, a description, a picture of it. They can get information such as amenities that are nearby. Notice we have navigation, so a user can click. I'm not even really typing here. What is nearby this? And then highlighting the ability to handle media also within a digital assistant. I can view the floor plans that are offered by this particular building. It has a nice side-scrolling interface, so you can show a lot of high-quality media with the ability to view some details of this particular floor plan, heights and widths, so I know the things I want to bring in, for example. And then also getting in and taking a look at photos of this particular building. So if I'm viewing a photo here, I can take a look, or I can go back and I can scroll through a list of photos. And so what this has done is it's essentially taken information from many pages across a website for one of our customers, and it makes it so that it's very straightforward and easy to access. So a student can get full information on building, amenities, floor plans, photos, and figure out exactly if they can bring that chest from home that they want to bring directly to their room. This gives them that information. Now, what's great about this as well is that it also has a natural language interface to it as well. So, what is the list of buildings on campus? And you'll see that it'll provide that list again. And what's great is that we can do some very more deep understanding of the conversation. So if a student knows exactly what they need, we can skip a step, and this goes a long way in having a natural conversation. So I need more details on the Brown College building. What this will do is this will cut directly to that particular building now, because the user was able to tell us both that they needed more details and which particular building that they wanted more details on. And this highlights the strength of the platform and the natural language understanding to be able to say, okay, here's the exact one you need. Let's get you in there and let's get you more information about this particular item. So this is an example of a digital assistant that conveys a large amount of information, but does it with both visual and conversational elements so that users can really interface with this bot however they would like. Joe, I'm going to pass it back over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Mike. And I'm going to also then show some additional digital assistant that some of our other higher education university have developed. And this is a digital assistant developed by University of Tasmania, and obviously, as the name implies, it's based in Tasmania, Australia. And their school mascot is Mumford, so this must be very Tasmania or Australian mascot. Now, so I can click on the digital assistant here, and what's nice about this digital assistant, and this digital assistant helps student orientation onboarding. So, for example, I can ask a question: what is the enrollment fees? Right, so all the incoming students will want to know what is the what are all the different fees I have to pay? So I can say, okay, find out about fees. What fees do I have? Is it general information or specific information? Estimating fees. All right, I'm going to click estimating. Well, given I'm based in the US, I'm really an international student, and it gives me some basic information on international students' fees, and I can click more. And then for more information, for example, then it provides me to a link to an actual page, right? So you can kind of think of, in this use case, digital assistant is a very quick way for students to locate and find the information they need, and then navigate to a page where they can actually execute a more complex search or a transaction. I can also ask another information, for example, what is, where, let's say, where can I find enrollment information? All right. So I can see I have a little typo, but still it returns some guesses. I say yes. Okay, and then give me another connect link to that I can connect to. I can also say, can you mail my ID card? That's also going to be a very common question now that it may be late. It may be difficult for a student to come on the campus to pick up a ID, especially if they lost the ID card. So they may need to be able to mail to them. So I would say, yes, I want to go to get an ID card. Are you on campus or off campus? Let's say I'm off campus. And then very quickly direct me to some information about how do I get my ID card, but then I have to enter obviously a bunch more information to get my ID card. So that gives me a link to go to the forms where I can fill out all the necessary information to get the ID card. Now, for this digital assistant, they also provide course information in addition to just the admission information. So I can ask, I can ask this information, how do I withdraw from a course? You know, I just signed up for too many classes. I really need to withdraw from a course. And let's see, it's actually a question I ask. And so what you can see here is, if the digital assistant is not sure, it's smart enough to say, well, are you asking what you were working on earlier, or are you really asking frequently asked questions? I can pick that, and it will actually direct me to the question, and I can go ahead and say, oh yeah, how do I withdraw from a course? And it gives me all the information and links to withdraw from a course. And well, what if I'm a little bit too late? So what happens if if I withdraw after the deadline? So just being too tardy, what happens? I'm sure it's going to say, too bad, you get an F or I get penalty. So, but it did find the question as well. It also some other hits, and basically digital assistant is going to give me a list of the possible hits, and I can see, okay, did return the question correctly, so I can go ahead and view that as well, right? And I can also say, can I check my results? So this is also connected to digital assistant can also help me with, for example, for some reason I can't see my results. Interesting. Have I made my payment in the last couple of days? Or I can't see my results until I pay for it. Okay, that's fine. All right. Okay, I'll just go ahead and click through the the rest of it. So you can see this is University of Tasmania has created this digital assistant to really help first onboard the students, help students with a lot of the initial questions and issues, as well as signing up for providing questions and answers for signing up for classes and so forth. And I also want to just go and demo another, this is yet another university based in Australia. They're based in Adelaide, as the name suggests, University Adelaide. And what they have done is a slightly different use case. So what they have done is they have created a digital assistant to help with international students to help determine their eligibility, right? So the University of Adelaide actually has a lot of university students. And rather than taking the, forcing international students to go through a very laborious and forms and or requiring them to ask questions to a live person, what University of Adelaide does is provide a digital assistant for international students to very quickly determine if they're eligible, right? And there's some basic criteria that they must meet in order to apply. And the application itself does have a fee, so it's important for prospective students to be able to determine their eligibility, initial eligibility. So first, it gives me a privacy statement and warning. So yes, that's fine. So where's my name? My first name is Joe. So it guides me through this process. It wants my email, so I guess I'll use my email, personal email, just in case, so they don't get suspicious. This is actually a live system, but we know the university pretty well, so they can figure this out. Okay, so is this my personal email? Yes, that's my personal email. So again, you can see this digital system is nice because it guides you through the process. You don't really have to type something in. You can type something, an answer in if you want, but this also allows you to just very quickly click through a series of buttons. So I can say, yes, I'm applying as an undergraduate bachelor. So next is asking me, which country am I a citizen for? So I'm saying I'm a USA citizen. And then ask me for the question, from which country did you complete the qualification you'll be using for reply? So actually, I be using the results from USA as well, so I'm going to say same country. All right, and then at this point, it actually goes to the backend and determine, okay, for the US, there are all of these possible qualifications I can use to apply to University of Adelaide. So I will just say, yes, I have a high school diploma with SAT results. And it returns actually right away that, okay, indicates I'm a good candidate to apply, so I can indeed apply. And then lastly, there's another feature for this digital assistant is basically answer a survey to say, what are your experiences like? So University of Adelaide actually through this, of course I'm going to say awesome, but through this to collect feedbacks so that they can continuously improve their digital assistant to service the international students. All right. Let me move on to the next demo. And next demo is actually the one that I discussed earlier, the educational testing service. And this is another use case where educational testing service is trying to deal with the impact or actually students who is taking tests hosted by educational testing service, what the impacts are for these students. And this is a digital assistant that they were able to develop very quickly to react to this essentially inflood of information that's needed. They currently deployed a Oracle customer service application called Oracle Service Cloud. And before this digital system is in place, essentially all of the students asking these questions. So for example, registration information, I want to know about taking GRE test, And how do I schedule my test? Before that, the students either have to fish around in this website to find the information they need, or they have to contact educational testing service through a live agent or through a phone call, which is very costly. This really help the educational testing service to very quickly disseminate and get the information that student need. For example, how do I reschedule my test? And so, okay, let's say, have I received an email? No, I haven't received an email. And then it gives me actually a link. If I haven't received an email, then it actually give me a link to be able to chat with a live agent. I'm not going to do that. This is a live system. If I click on it, what happens is actually this will transfer the conversation to a live agent who will be able to see the history of the conversation and then help me with the fact that I haven't received email, which does require a little bit more processing. But as you can see, I just go back to this, but you could see the digital assistant can offload a lot of these commonly asked questions. Let's say a testing day. So, for example, do I need to wear my mask, a mask to the testing? So it gives me that information, as well as a link to more details on what to expect on a test day. Right. So again, rather than student having to call into the educational testing service for these follow-ups, the digital assistant handles the first level of questions, and then as needed, actually hand it off to a live agent through the Service Cloud integration. Okay, so I say yes. All right. And this obviously can go on, and you can also directly from here just click on chat with a live agent, and that will start a chat session as well. Okay, now, so these are all live digital assistant that are used by either higher education institutions or educational related institutions. Next, I'd like to go through is, well, what about for faculty employee, right? And in this time of challenging times, a lot of the faculty employee all have to work from home. Digital assistant can also help with a lot of the common HR informations. So for example, I can say, well, update my profile because recently have moved to a different location, which is not a great place to, great time to move during this pandemic, but perhaps I need to move closer to my my parents, for example. And then I can go ahead and say, okay, enter in my new address, 2015 East Lake Avenue. Whoops. Let's see, 2015 East Lake Avenue, San Francisco, California, 94016. Typo here, much better. Okay, and the nice thing is the digital assistant not only now at this point detected that I'm actually moving from one state to another that has a tax impact, so it can also automate the process of updating my W-4 based on the new tax information and say yes, and can go ahead and do that. Then next, let's say I need to get some medical information, so I can say show my benefits. All right, and let's say I need my medical benefit information, and shows me what the enrollment plan is and who are the primary beneficiary. All right, and I can, let's see. And the digital assistant can also connect to other type of systems. So other than the HR, it can also connect to a calendaring system. Again, in this case, it's not a live system. This is a demo, but this is just meant to show what the digital assistant can do for your employees. So I can also ask the question, when is my next meeting? All right, and so my next meeting is 3:30, review my objective, that's great. I can also ask the question, who are the attendees? And it shows me all of the attendees. So digital assistant can also connect into the calendaring system to allow me to very quickly look at the attendee information. I can even say, okay, Betty Anderson, I don't really know her. I don't think. I can click on employee information, and that actually gives me her job title as well. Digital assistant can also be can connect to a procurement system. So I can say I want to order a laptop. Now I'm working from home. I have some additional need for ordering a laptop. So yes, please do recommend a laptop. And these are the 3 standard laptops that I have, that I'm able to pick. I'm just going to pick Lenovo Yoga, and that looks pretty good. Let's say no. I think I made my pick, yes. And I picked Lenovo Yoga. And at this point in time, the digital assistant can connect to the requisition system to create a requisition. All right, so it takes a little time because it's actually creating a requisition in the backend ERP system. So this basically just gives you a general idea of what the digital assistant can do in terms of functionality. Next, I'm going to move on to a few more use cases. Another use case is more, again, this is a demo, more around, again, helping the our customers to deal with the COVID-19 related questions. And this is a digital assistant demo that we have built, and we actually make this available as samples for anyone who wanted to use it or to use a modified version of it. And the way that it works is I can click on ask questions. I'll just say hi again. It starts a new session. All right. So for this demo, this demo actually supports a number of things. It helps to, it connects to a database with the current statistics of COVID-19. So if you, in case you want to find out what are the infection rate in the US. Right, so actually I haven't checked today. This is connecting to a live information. So unfortunately, it's now up to 1.3 million, and unfortunately, 80,000 individuals has passed away because of the disease. So it's able to connect to a live system. In this case, digital system simply just connects to the latest statistics and allow the end user to search for that information. But for employees, maybe they also want to find out, for example, am I an essential employee? Let's say an essential worker. Right. So with digital assistant, you can actually very quickly build up these type of FAQ type of bots, similar to educational testing service and SUNY has done to provide these type of critical information. All right, and the last but not the least, I'd like to quickly demonstrate is we also embedded our own voice recognition engine that converts voice to text. And we're also able to embed more complex logic because we have our own voice to text recognition engine to be able to capture more complex voice input. So so I'm going to do a quick demo. So this is not a university higher education related demo, unless this is more of a hospital healthcare type of demo where a doctor is really working hard and taking temperature of the patient. Then and rather than having to manually enter into the patient information for all the patient information and status, digital assistant can help to capture some of the key information through voice. All right, so I'm going to hit this mic button and start speaking. Emily Brady's condition has gotten worse. Her symptoms are critical. She is short of breath and she is still coughing. Her fever also have increased to 103.8. I'm recommending to put her on a ventilator. Oops. Okay, I think my apologies. This is a real life demo. You're not really faking. Let me try it again. Emily Brady's condition has gotten worse. Her symptoms are critical. She's short of breath and she's still coughing. Her fever has also increased to 103.8. I'm recommending to put her on a ventilator. Oops. 103.8. Okay, I think I got the voice input in the wrong place. My apologies for having this bit of an issue. Let me try it again. 103.8. Yes. All right. So the demo actually didn't work smoothly, but actually it did work because the digital assistant has a feature. If for some reason it didn't capture all the information that's needed, it will automatically prompt you for the information that's needed. So for example, I ended my sentence a little bit too early, where the capture didn't quite capture to the end, so it still prompts me for a temperature. And so I can also, let me try my luck again and try a different path. John Smith's condition has gotten worse. His symptoms are critical. He's short of breath and still coughing. Sorry, I don't think you can hear that very well because I got the sound through the wrong output. Yeah, there you go. Okay, much better. 101.2.
Is patient on supplemental oxygen?
No.
Summary for John Smith: feeling, worse severity, critical symptoms, dry cough, max temperature, 101.2 F on supplemental oxygen.
Yes. Yep. Oops. Yes. Okay, I'm having a little problem with my microphone, as you could tell. This is the joy of working from home and using home equipment. All right, so I'm going to stop here, and this is just a series of demonstration how the digital system can help for higher education, and not only for students, but also for faculty and employees. All right, so I'll just click through some of these. So the digital assistant at a high level actually composed of 4 key components. These, so how this digital assistant actually takes the voice input or text input, right? And then return the data back. It's really through those 4 key components. One is what we call channel configurator, and channel, what we meant is basically messaging applications. And these messaging application could be through Facebook Messenger, could be through WhatsApp. WhatsApp's actually is very popular internationally, so it may be something that's useful for international students. But all of the channel configurator basically connects the chatbot or digital assistant to these variety of client, or it could be a mobile application or web application. The dialogue flow execution basically helps to execute a, for lack of a better term, dialogue flow. So for example, in the example earlier, where I started to, where the University of Adelaide international student assistant is taking me through a series of questions. That's all executed and through the dialogue flow execution. So there's a engine in digital assistant that would execute, essentially take the user through a conversation. And obviously there's a set of associative tools for the administrator and the developer to be able to configure the dialogue flow. It also has a component that connects to backend systems. So in the case of, for example, in a lot of these cases where you need to get, for example, real-time grade or whether someone has paid their fee or not, the digital assistant has a layer, a component that can connect to the backend systems. And the REST basically can connect to any backend system through a REST API. So as long as any system exposes the API, digital assistant can connect to it. And the fourth one is a conversational AI engine that tries to understand what user is saying and then map to the operations that user intended to ask and then connect to the backend system to get the data back, right? So the conversational AI engine here is really where you, the customer, would actually train the digital system with a set of examples of how user may be asking the question. You don't have to enter all the information. You just have to provide a few key phrases that how user may be asking the question. And then you essentially train the digital assistant to understand these type of conversations, and that translates into calls to the backend application to get the data back. Right, so very high level, that's how these are the key components of the digital assistant. Digital assistant, as you have seen, can support a variety of conversational styles. It can execute a transaction, and it can provide a set of FAQs. FAQ is actually probably the easiest to get up and running. It takes literally hours to just get an FAQ running. And that's why it's actually been very useful for a lot of institutions who are disclosing and communicating COVID-19 related information. We can also do live agent handoff, and this is what the Educational Testing Service has done, is to use digital assistant to divert a lot of the calls to a live agent, and then when needed, hand the conversation over to a live agent. It can also leverage Oracle Intelligent Advisor to really step through more complex policy-related questions, for example, determine eligibility for benefits and so forth. And it can even send alert, push a conversation to end users if needed. And this is just a bit more detail on the integration with customer service systems that the Educational Testing Service have done, is that the digital assistant act as a virtual agent so that as end user engage the digital assistant and start to ask questions, all the incoming requests can be handled through digital assistant, then handed off to a live agent as needed. Digital assistant can also help to create a service request, connect with the knowledge base to return data, and so forth. All right, and also just briefly demonstrate earlier that Oracle now has our own voice-to-text engine, and the reason we do that, right? There are a lot of voice assistant on the market today, but the reason we do that is of these reasons: privacy, and there's some well-known cases where Amazon, has a team of people really behind the scenes listening to conversations. That's not really private, and our customers demand privacy and so security for those voice transactions. And also, we're able to train the digital assistant with enterprise specific data. So actually, you as the customer will be able to also enter in special terms that you want your voice to text engine to be able to understand. That the typical, with Google Assistant or Alexa, you really wouldn't able to enter your own specific terminology for better understanding. But with Oracle Digital Assistant, you'll be able to. We have a lot of ready customers. The platform has been around for a couple of years, and we have a number of customers. So, for example, State University in New York, that the digital assistant that Mike just demonstrated, they actually have quite a bit of a plan to use digital assistant. Eventually, they're planning to use digital assistant heavily for all of their online courses, and help, for example, admission counselors to coach, help the students to pick the classes, act basically as a virtual admissions counselor, for example. But currently in phase 1, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they started with a FAQ type of digital assistant for these related questions. Another customer is University of Tasmania that I demonstrated earlier, that helps to onboard the new university students and offload the workload of university help desk. And University Adelaide is the digital assistant that helps international students to determine their eligibility. And so rather than international student having to call a mission staff, the digital assistant can handle most of these initial inquiries. And you can see some of the results are that they're able to see a greater international recruitment growth and so forth. And we also have a university in Korea, and it's kind of interesting is they actually create a digital assistant to help the public to search research papers. And so it can also help, in this case, using natural language to help to find the articles and so forth. And also demonstrated earlier, educational testing services now uses digital assistant to handle a lot of FAQs, and also integrates with the service cloud, so that if students, if the prospective students or parents needs to find out what is going on, they can go to digital assistant, get a lot of the quick information right away. Then, if needed, talk to or chat with a live agent. Okay, we also have a lot of partners in this area. So, a lot of these implementations are custom-built digital assistant, and you may need partners to assist in your implementations. I know that a lot of the university, a lot of you runs PeopleSoft in the back end. We actually have a pretty good set of PeopleSoft-based higher education partner ecosystem. So, for example, for President's IT, Intrasea, Astute, Accenture, Cherry Road, and Spirit MC. So partners are also here to help you. We also have a couple articles, if interested, that talks about how digital assistants can help with the remote workers in this current time of crisis. And also wanted to introduce you to our product site, oracle.com/DA, where you can get more information. All right, so with that, I want to, I think we're at a point where we're going to wrap up the webcast. We're almost on top of the hour. So for more information, you can simply go to oracle.com/DA. And also we have a rich set of learning materials that's under this bit.ly link, bit.ly/ODA doc. Unfortunately, it is case sensitive. I'll leave the slide up in case you're interested. And we actually have a lot of some universities that uses digital assistant as part of the coursework as well. In case your student is interested to really build a digital assistant, anyone can request a free trial, run it for a month, and use the tool to build their own digital assistant. Maybe even in a computer science class, you may want to offer this as an option for someone to provide a project and build a project using trials and digital assistant. We'll definitely, and these learning materials is going to be very helpful. Okay, with that, we have 3 minutes left. I think there's a few things in chat, but it looks like Mike has answered most of it. Are there, Mike, Susan, are there any questions that we may want to further address, or it looks like it's all addressed?
I think we took care of the ones in the chat. I'll just open all the lines. And if you want to ask a question, feel free to. Or you should be able to unmute yourself. I'm actually unmuting everyone.
Yep.
I think so.
Great.
Or raise your hand, either way. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them now. And then, Mike, did you want to say a little bit about how easy it is to develop a chatbot for maybe COVID or students that are at home and need information?
Yeah, sure. I think, from an effort perspective as a developer, the product is geared towards, line of business and development IT users. And so developing an application is pretty rapid because you're focusing on the conversation and integration with the data and not so much the user interface. By removing the user interface from the application development process, you are cutting out a lot of what is the delay in the process of development. And as you saw with some of those more visual digital assistants with they have buttons and images, it works a lot like a mobile application. So being able to focus on just getting the integration up and running and then using that data really speeds up productivity. The development of the housing one was about 2 days. And, so and overall, development of digital assistants is much, much, much less than traditional web applications and mobile applications.
That's great. That's what I love about digital assistant.
Yeah.
I don't see any other questions. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so just to add to what Mike said, yeah, we basically package up a very business analyst-friendly user interface for you to build digital assistant, which really involves a set of what we call training. And training, really, what I mean by that is just primarily providing these examples how user may be asking a question. So it's more of something that someone who's familiar with business will be able to do, and the actual coding effort is pretty quick and pretty based on your use cases. So you can get going and get up very quickly. And again, for more learning materials, you want to see how the digital assistant is developed, there's this bit.ly link that will help with the information.
Great. Thank you both so much. It was a fascinating presentation, and I love the demos. So if there are no other questions, we'll end the webinar, and thank you all for joining.